Blog Talk Radio.
Across the country and around the world, streaming live on the internet, it's Real Estate Coaching Radio, bringing you the latest news, interviews, and secrets of the top producers. Hosted by award-winning real estate coaches, Tim and Julie Harris.
And welcome back to Real Estate Coaching Radio, and this is your host, Tim Harris, and my wife, Julie Harris, is actually on the coaching call right now. She may or may not be joining us, and I'm hoping we have a very special co-host, Miss Lani Rosales from AG Beat, what we are trying to get her on the radio show. So remember, guys, this is your only source online for unfiltered, full-strength honesty about what is truly working to get you into action and make you money. So I have a list of questions that I've received over the last, I would say, week. And these questions all came as a result of the interview I did with Toby on Super Agents Live. Now, we posted the replay of that show as yesterday's, or that interview as yesterday's radio show and Monday's radio show. So if you've not listened to that interview, please go back and listen to that interview, because the feedback I've got from that particular time I spent with Toby, and again, Toby's website is called Super Agents Live. The feedback I got from all of you was, I would say, pretty extraordinary, because a lot of you, I think, are very confused about what it takes to be successful in the real estate business in this market. And it was interesting to me, the feedback, because, you know, Toby and I were on that interview. It was only supposed to be an hour, and it ended up lasting 2 hours. And during that 2-hour session, Toby was asking some really great questions, some very probing questions about what it really takes to be successful in the real estate industry. And I think, again, you guys need to go back and listen to the 2 hours of that interview. So I think he titled the interview Millionaire Maker Interview 1 and Interview 2. But, again, it's also posted on Real Estate Coaching Radio. So just go back and listen to the replay of yesterday's radio show and then, of course, Monday's radio show. So I'm going to tell you guys, well, so a lot of you request free coaching calls, and, of course, it's free coaching calls for agents.com. And you request free coaching calls. And normally when you come to your coaching call or your free coaching call and you're not currently a student, a lot of you guys have the exact same questions. And so I'm going to kind of cover some of the questions that a lot of you ask, and then I'm also going to talk about a lot of the things I thought that were most interesting that came up from that interview. And I'm going to, you know, if you guys have been dialed into Julie and I for any length of time, you know I'm a big fan of just cutting through all the Mickey Mouse and all the BS and just getting basically to the heart of the matter. So here's the question that I have for all of you today. And this is a question I get repeatedly, and this is the question that really the essence of the interview I did with Toby. Why is it so dang confusing? Here's the question. Why is it so dang confusing what an agent should be doing to build their business? You know, and that's a great question, because there's never been a time in the couple decades that Julie and I have been paying attention to the real estate business, between selling real estate and being real estate coaches, there's never been a time when it's been so confusing. And so something interesting happened really about 2007, about the same time Zillow, you know, came online, and Trulia and all these other companies, is all of a sudden all these different tech companies emerged out of just nowhere. So in that same time frame, essentially, I think Zillow probably brought a lot of attention to the real estate space, and the venture capitalists and all that, and we're not going to talk about any of that today. So, well, heck, if, you know, there's obviously a lot of money to be made selling stuff to realtors. You know, they make, what is it, $300 billion or some outrageous number a year in commissions, and what the heck, average agent spends this and that. And so they've done all these studies, and so all these companies started, and they're all trying to figure out a way to liberate you guys from your credit card numbers, okay? So you get solicited, you get emailed, you get called, you get, you know, constantly bombarded with messages, most of which have to do with done-for-you lead generation. And you guys know that I'm not a fan of done-for-you lead generation, and here's the bottom line reason why. Because most of you, if you basically are buying your leads, will never learn how to generate your own leads. If you never learn how to generate your own leads, and you're always going to be dependent on someone to buy your leads from, you will never really have much of a chance of really building any business, because you'll always be in permanent dependency mode. So, again, it's confusing right now, more than it ever has been, because you guys are given so many options. And, you know, we tell you to learn skills. We tell you to do the work. We tell you, and this is one of our core messages, the key to long-term success is doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. Now, I know when I say that, There's probably only 1 out of 100 of you that message is going to resonate with. And you know what? Eventually it will or it won't resonate with the rest of you because it's the truth. Some of you don't want to hear that it takes hard work. Some of you don't want to hear that, it's going to require a lot of time and effort to be really, truly successful. The fact is, guys, is that you cannot buy your way to success. It's impossible. You have to take the time and learn how to actually be of service to others. Otherwise, why would anyone want to do business with you? So there's the first thing I wanted you to write in your notes, obviously, was what? Doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. And the second thing I want you to remember before I get to the topic today is that if you don't have the money, if you don't have the financial freedom, if you don't have the peace of mind, if you don't have the lifestyle, if you don't have the things in life that you want, and by the way, you do deserve, the simple reason is because you have yet to figure out or embrace the fact that you need to learn to be of service to more people at a high level. That's really it. If you look at anybody who has a really, like anyone you admire, just pick a person. It could even be a celebrity. It doesn't matter. Well, let's pick an actor, right? Let's think of Matt Damon. So Matt Damon, let's assume that he's fabulously wealthy and has a lifestyle that most of us envy and all the rest of it. Okay, so let's drill down on Matt Damon again specifically. Why is it that he is able to have such a glorious life? It's simply for the fact that he has figured out how to be of service to a lot of people at a high level. When you go see him in a movie or however else he's entertaining us, he's making you feel a certain way, not just you, but millions of other people. So much so that millions of other people are willing to pay money for that feeling that he emotes in them. It's an interesting thought, isn't it? So in a real estate business, you have to figure out a way to offer a product, a service, your ability to perform a real estate transaction at such a high level that folks line up around the corner to do business with you. If you're just focusing on 1 or 2 transactions and you're wondering where the heck your success is going, where it's going to actually start happening, you're thinking too small. You got to think out of the box. So let's talk specifically about really the essence of real estate. And here it is. And this will clear the air about, the question I continuously get about where your focus needs to be. Ready? Your focus, if you want to be in this industry long term, has to be on listings. It cannot be on buyers. It cannot be on buying buyer leads. It cannot be on building your team. It cannot be on branding. It cannot be on social networking. It cannot be on the latest whiz-bang app. It cannot be on anything other than listings. Yes, all those things come into play at some level, helping you learn to be a listing agent. But the essence of success in the real estate industry is listings. So let's just break this down. Why is that true? Because when you have listings, you have leverage. If you have, say, for example, 10 listings at all times, and you live, like where Julie and I sold real estate in Columbus, Ohio. I don't even remember how many realtors there were. I'm sure there was over 10,000, maybe even 20 or 30,000. So when we sold real estate, we took listings because we always knew that our primary focus had to be listing agents, not buyer's agents. We take a listing, we put it in the MLS, and as soon as you do that, what happens? Assuming it's priced right, assuming it's positioned correctly in the market, you have literally thousands of agents that are all of a sudden introducing their buyers to the property. Almost like magic, by taking one listing, you create the leverage of the fact that the existing real estate, realtor system is set up to sell that listing. Take 10 listings. You can take 10 listings and then what happens? You're engaging those same tens of thousands of realtors to go out there and spend their time showing your property, trying to sell your property so that they can make a commission. And by the way, you make a commission as well. Now, why are more agents not attracted to listings? Why are more agents thinking in their heads that listings for some reason are really hard to get, and they have all kinds of issues with the idea of becoming listing agents? And I'll tell you why, and you guys already know it if you're being honest with yourselves. Because if you're going to be a listing agent, you have to have sales skills. If you're going to be a listing agent, you have to actually know how to overcome folks' issues with regards to price, with regards to your commission. You need to overcome and know how to answer the question, why should I list with you and not somebody else? A lot of you believe that you have to be in the industry for a long period of time and work your way up from the lower price stuff, working on buyers first, and then going through this sort of, maze of, horrible experiences before you're officially allowed to be a listing agent. That's not true. It's absolutely not true. It might be what people have told you, but it's not true. You can be a listing agent right when you get your real estate license. You can take listings immediately. Now, here's a cool thing about real estate. Think about this. When was the last time somebody asked you how long you'd been in the business? Just as one of the first conversations, how long have you been in the business? When was the last time they asked you how many houses you sold? When was the last time they asked you anything that would act as a true, pre-qualifier as to what your level of experience it is? They don't ask, do they? Now, if you're in your 30s or your 40s or 50s and you have a real estate license, and most of you are in that age group, they're going to assume you've been in real estate for a long time, and the conversation will never happen. So the interesting thing in most situations is when you're competing on a listing, and you have a good listing presentation, and you have a fantastic pre-listing pack, and you've thoroughly pre-qualified that seller before you go on the appointment, and you followed like the system that we lay out for you as part of our coaching program, and you follow it to the letter, you're going to find that not only do you not get any objections because the pre-listing pack takes care of all the objections before you ever get there, but in addition to that, you're going to find that even the realtors that are more established, more ingrained into the marketplace, more everything than you on paper cannot compete with you because what's happened is you are bringing essentially skills and a higher level professionalism to your listing presentations. I cannot tell you the number of coaching calls, free coaching calls mostly, I've had with a lot of you guys, where I ask you, what's your confidence level with taking listings? And you'll basically, waffle around and you'll say you have no confidence with taking listings. If some of you guys have sold listings before and I ask where you got your listings from, it's always the same answer. In most cases, it's, because I happened to walk into one, or it was one from Floor Time, or I got a listing assigned me for another agent, or my aunt decided to sell her a house. In other words, you guys have avoided the most lucrative part of the real estate industry, which is when you're actually competing for listings with primarily people you don't know. I mean, you're competing for listings with other agents, and you don't necessarily have a personal connection with those sellers. That's where the action is. Because if you think you're going to be able to exist for a long period of time in your own little bubble, where basically it's just going to be you and the people you know and you working the occasional buyers, you're going to have what? You're going to have ups and downs in your income. You're never going to probably save anything. You're going to have a credit card balance that never gets paid off. You're going to be one of these agents that basically feels like they're constantly burning the candle at both ends, never has any free time. You're going to be one of these agents that's constantly going to conferences and, responding to whatever the new whiz-bang creative whatever is, thinking that somehow, some way, there's some magic bullet out there that if you just knew about it, you'd all of a sudden be successful. Those are the types of thoughts that so many of you have. So here's what we're going to do. I want you to answer this question. All of you listen very carefully because this, I promise you, will have all this confusion, all these feelings and thoughts that you have that really result in a real great feeling of inadequacy in a lot of you, and frankly, a lot of failure, unfortunately. I'm going to help you walk through the process of completely, and my goal is to make it so that you have 100% clarity on why you have to ultimately learn to be a listing agent. And here goes. Ready? I'm going to walk you through this, and these are the same exact questions I ask a lot of you when we do free coaching calls at freecoachingcallsforagents.com. And again, my purpose of doing this is to help you cut through all the BS so you can be very clear about where your best energies and your focus has to be every day. Question number one. Ready? What is your average sale price? What is your average sale price according to the MLS? Not just yours personally, but according to the MLS. I'm going to assume, for the sake of conversation today, and I realize that vast majority of you have average sale prices that are, over $1 million, but just for the sake of conversation, I was a humble English major, and I'm frankly better at talking and writing than I am doing math in my head, so I'm going to keep the math easy for myself and assume your average sale price is $200,000. I'm also going to assume that your commission is 6%. So every time you have a listing sell, it would be a $6,000 check. Yes, I realize that you are paying your broker and you have your other expenses, but we're just going to talk top-line numbers, right? So every time you have a listing sell, you earn $6,000. Your average sale price is $200,000. You guys with me? All right. Next question. Can you imagine, now this is a kind of a stretch question for some of you, but I just want you to basically allow your mind to be free for this so you can take in the concept. Can you imagine having in your marketplace, you personally, 10 listings at all times? In other words, you've gotten your business to the point where you have 10 listings at all times. Your name, your dry erase board, your desk. It says at the top of the dry erase board, listings, number 1 through 10, and by every one of those numbers is a listing that's actively for sale. I realize that's a huge stretch for some of you, and I also realize for some of you, especially guys that we're coaching, you guys take 5 to 10 listings a week. So it's not a big deal for you to think about this. So for those of you who are already on that level of thinking, your number isn't 10 at all times. Your number is 50 at all times. If you're in an area where the average sale price is low and the average days on the market is long, you're going to need to have 75 to 100 listings at all times. You guys get the concept here? So 10 listings at all times in your marketplace, at all times, your name, 10 listings. Okay, you're with me. Now, next question. For the most part, everywhere in the country, there's a list to paycheck cycle that's lasting about 90 to 120 days. In some markets, it's 60 days. In other markets, it's 6 months. So I'm going to assume that for the most part, when you list a $200,000 property in your marketplace, it's going to take between the marketing time, the showing time, the negotiating time, the in-contract time, it's going to take about 90 days. You list something today, you get paid in 90 days. Please stay focused. This is a very basic, simple way for you to think about the real estate business, and you will then no longer be confused about what your primary focus should be every single day. 10 listings at all times, average sale price of $200,000, average commission every time you have a listing sale of $6,000. Everybody with me? Average days on the market, say 30 to 45. Average days from listing the contract, signing the contract, to getting paid 90 days. Okay? On average, in most of your markets, if you had 10 listings at all times, you're going to have, on average, 3 to 4 closings a month. That's just the way it works. Again, on average, in the summer and spring, you might have more. In the fall and winter, you might only have 2. But on average, let's just say conservatively, you're going to have 3 listings sell at all times. If you have, again, I want you to visualize this, a dry erase board. It says, Tim's listings at the top. 1 through 10 are the number of listings, and your new minimum standard in your business is to have 10 active listings at all times. Automatically, just from the listing being in the MLS, you will, on average, have 3 closings per month. 3 closings per month, and you didn't double into them. They're just listings that the MLS and the agents, the co-ops, they're selling for you. Your primary energies are focused on being a listing agent. You have 3 of those bad boys sell per month. You're making how much? How much? $18,000 a month. $18,000 a month. Throw some processing fees on there, some home warranty commissions, you're making $20,000 a month. If you have 10 listings at all times, I just gave you guys the formula. And by the way, your experience may vary. Obviously, if you're in an area like we have a lot of great clients in New York and Miami and, out in California where your average sale price is going to be $800,000. So, you might only need 5 listings at all times to accomplish your financial goals. So play with the numbers. But get in your mind the concept that the key to long-term success in real estate is having a consistent number of listings at all times because it levels out the cash flow. By the way, did you hear me once mention working with buyers? Nope. Did you hear me once mention a team? No. Branding? No. Online marketing, social media, direct mail, postcards, any of this other stuff? No. I will show you on our free coaching call, freecoachingcallsforagents.com, either myself or one of the other folks that do the free coaching calls, we'll create a plan for you. You can then understand basically how to go about accomplishing this goal. The mental impasse that typically I experience when I'm talking to a lot of you guys is this. Oh, my God, Tim, I get it. I love the idea of having 10 listings at all times. Or, again, if you're in, New York City, it might be 3 listings at all times because I've got people in New York City whose average sale price is $2.5 million. So whatever the number is, okay, I get the concept, Tim. I embrace it. So help me understand. How long is this going to take and, what level of work is going to be required? So, we're honest folks here. We cut through the Mickey Mouse and the BS, and we're not going to tell you something that's not true that you cannot accomplish. And so here's the bottom line. It's going to be a lot of work. So let me give you a little thing to think about. There's 3 stages of plane flight, right? So you're sitting on a jet. There's the taking off phase, the cruising phase, and the landing phase, right? So you guys have all been in that experience, right? So taking off, cruising, landing. Where does the jet use most of its fuel? Taking off, cruising, or landing? Answer the question. Thousands of you right now are listening to this in replay. You all should be saying the same thing, taking off. You're sitting on a plane. The plane's making all the rocking and rolling and all the noises and the chassis creaking and you're, right? Taking off. Cruising altitude, you can get up, walk around. You can visit your neighbors. You can, right? So think about these things. You most of you, are right now in the taking off phase in your careers. You right now, just like that jet has to, use the most fuel and energy, and maybe in some cases that you guys have done in decades, to get to whatever your magic number of listings is at all times. That's, by the way, what we call it, our magic number formula. So the first 60, 90, maybe even 120 days, depending on how many listings you need, is going to be the work phase of our coaching relationship. There's not going to be a lot of conversations about things that are not going to lead directly to the accomplishment of that goal, directly to the accomplishment of taking the number of listings at all times. Because here's what happens. You're going to, let's say, for example, that we set a plan in action and you agree to it. It's a commitment that we make that over the next 4 months, you're going to get your listing inventory up to 10 listings at all times. Now, in those intervening months, some of them will sell. Thank God you need money, right? So, that's the work part. But what's going to happen is you're going to get 3 or 4 months from now, you're going to have whatever your magic number of listings is, or at least well on the way, depending on what that number is, and then you're in cruising altitude. So here's the concept again. If your goal is to have 10 listings at all times, it's for the next 4 months, you're going to be in taking off mode. You're going to have to put in a lot of energy. You're going to have to learn a lot of new things. You're going to have to do a lot of things that, let's be honest, a lot of you have been avoiding doing your entire real estate careers. You're going to have to embrace the concept that success comes when you do what you don't want to do, when you don't want to do it at the highest level, right? Don't forget that. It's important. It's the truth. You embrace that concept. You say, all right, I'm going to buckle down for the next 90 to 120 days. I'm going to get my listing inventory up to 10 listings at all times. Yes, I realize that in the intervening months that some of them will sell and da-da-da-da. But then what happens, guys, 90 to 120 days from now, you only have to replace what sells. You've got momentum. So it's no longer in this mental phase of, oh, my gosh, we got to get to and maintain 10 listings. 90 to 120 days from now, you'll have 3 or 4 in contract. And so now we're at cruising altitude. I want you to have the visualization of being the pilot in the cockpit of that plane. Hey, let's make it your own private jet, okay? And you've got a pilot up there. You peek through your mahogany lined door at your private pilot who's flying your private jet, and you're seeing now that you're at, private jets fly at 40 or 50,000 feet. So you can see him actually pull back on the throttle. Now he's at cruising altitude. That's where you'll be if you're willing to do the work to get to that altitude in the first place. Get it? Get the concept? And then it becomes magical because then the habits, the behaviors, the skills of getting to and maintaining 10 listings at all times or whatever your magic number is becomes easy. It does. It becomes easy. It becomes second nature. You have actually mastered something. You have done something that most people will never do, let alone folks in our industry. Now, here's a fun thought. So that formula, assuming your average commission is $6,000 on just one side of the transaction, assuming the average sale price is $200,000, assuming you have an average of 3 sell per month, that formula gets you to what? Roughly $20,000 a month or $240,000 a year. I'm coaching you. You're at that phase 6 months from now. You have mastered the ability to maintain 10 listings at all times. You replace what sells. You have maybe one assistant at that point. Maybe you have no assistants because, let's be honest, it's not that much work to close 3 transactions a month. It's not that much work to take replace the 3 listings that have sold. You can handle all this on your own. Oh, and in case you guys are confused about that, the number 1 listing agent in the nation who sold over $400 million of just listings has one assistant. One assistant. That is $414 million on just the listing sides of the transactions. No team, no nothing, all this other stuff that you guys are believing needs to happen before you can be successful in real estate. Not true. Just focus on the formula I'm giving you. See how I promised it would cut through all the Mickey Mouse? See how it's cutting through all the BS? See how you're starting to feel clarity? Where you're starting to have the little epiphany of, oh, why didn't somebody tell me this before? I don't know why nobody told you this before, but now that you know it, do something with this information. Now, let's say you're cruising along in your private, mahogany line jet, drinking your crystal glass. You guys get the idea. So you now decide, you know what, Tim? I have really mastered the ability to make $250,000 a year. I now want to make $500,000 a year. So we go back into the magic formula computer and we figure out, okay, to do that, you'll need 20 listings at all times. You've gotten really comfortable with being able to maintain 10. Let's go to 20. What do we have to do? We have to throttle down again. We have to cruise up to the next altitude for the next 90 to 120 days. As you build your inventory up, then you basically are going to double your income by doubling your listings. That's what it comes down to, guys. That's the honest to God truth about real estate. You have to be a listing agent to be successful in this business long term, because all of you are believing that you have to buy your leads. It's a lie. You don't have to buy your leads. This whole buying buyer leads thing especially, it's a new trend. It's only been around like 5 or 7 years. Oh, and here's the next one for you. Buying seller leads. Oh, yes, that's right. That's the next trend. I've warned you guys about that. And the buying seller leads, oh, this is going to be a beauty. You ready for it? They're going to sell you seller leads at 40% referral fee. And a lot of agents will, oh, my gosh, I'll take it. Why? Because you don't know how to get the seller leads yourself. Because you don't know how to get that listing yourself. You're willing to pay somebody, all that money. By the way, that's 40%, and then you're going to have to pay your broker. Then you're going to have your other expenses. And on average, if you do the math, you're going to be working for, on average, 1% before personal taxes. Does that make sense for you to work like that? Does it honestly make sense for you not to learn how to build your own business, for you not to learn how to essentially create a business based on listings? You guys getting the heart of what our coaching program is about? There's nobody else that's doing what we're doing. Yes, we're going to tell you how to build a system and a team, but we're not going to basically be wasting a lot of time on showing you how to buy buyer leads. That will never even happen from any of my staff or coaching members, ever, 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 because it's not true. It's not sustainable. It's not reality. It's just a stupid trend. So for you to actually move forward in your real estate business, for you to actually embrace what this new market, what this real estate recovery has to offer for you, you're going to have to wrap your mind around the fact that you have to learn how to be a listing agent. It's not that difficult, and it's actually kind of fun. It's the business that all of you have dreamed about having. In a lot of cases, if you think about why you got in the real estate business to begin with, it was because you wanted to learn how to be a listing agent. You wanted to learn how to be of service to others. You wanted to embrace the opportunity that real estate, and really real estate uniquely offers to you, of freedom, of the ability to determine your own financial future, of the ability to be of true service to other people, helping them accomplish their goals. So, guys, if there's anything we can be doing for you, I want you to always remember, request a free coaching call at freecoachingcallsforagents.com. We're going to try to have our special guests on our radio show sometime in the future. And in the meantime, guys, again, if you need us for anything, please request a free coaching call at freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Have a fantastic day.
This program has been a presentation by Tim and Julie Harris, Real Estate Coaching. For more information on our real estate coaching and training programs, visit our website at timandjulieharris.com. Remember to tune in weekdays at noon for upcoming shows. And until next time, thank you for listening to Real Estate Coaching Radio with Tim and Julie Harris.